Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. The chance of a government shutdown over border security rises after a contentious Oval Office meeting today between the president and top Democratic leaders.
During today's White House meeting, President Trump told Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer he would be proud to shut down the government over border security.
Tuesday's meeting began in hopes that the White House and congressional leaders could find some common ground on the sticky issue of border security.
But it ended with both sides trying to tap down the rhetoric. CBS's Molo Lengi reports.
Less than 2 weeks before a potential government shutdown, Senator Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi were at the White House on Tuesday. The meeting was an attempt to end a long-running stalemate over the federal budget.
When we wanted to have a debate with you about saying we confront some of those facts.
You know what? We need border security. That's what we're going to be talking about, border security. If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government.
President Trump wants $5 billion for a border wall. The Democrats are only offering $1.3 for border security.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. The last time you shut it down, it didn't work. I will take the mantle of shutting down. And I'm going to shut it down for border security.
But we believe you shouldn't shut it down.
The unusual Oval Office argument attracted a lot of attention over on Capitol Hill, where many Republicans expressed support for the president.
I don't believe the man's bluffing. If I were playing poker with him right now and I didn't have the cards, I'd fold those rascals.
If no deal is reached, the federal government's funding will run out on December 21st, triggering a partial shutdown. Molo Lengi, CBS News, the White House.
Now, President Trump did phone Congresswoman Pelosi after the meeting.
She said they did speak for a while, but didn't make any further progress towards a budget agreement.
Well, the long embattled 2018 Farm Bill clears another hurdle in Congress.
That's right. Today, 87 senators voting in favor of the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018. Now, the previous Farm Bill expired back in September, and it has been an uphill battle to reach a compromise. But now, with bipartisan support, this bill is moving on to the U.S. House.
Montana's 2 senators voted in favor of the bill, while both Wyoming Senators Mike Enzi and John Barrasso joined with 7 other Republican senators who voted against it.
Montana's 2 U.S. senators also speaking out today in support of a bill to extend health and disability benefits to a group of Vietnam-era veterans exposed to Agent Orange. And they urged senators who blocked the bill on Monday to relent and allow it to pass. Senators Jon Tester and Steve Daines joined at a late afternoon news conference by New York Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand. She said that the U.S. Veterans Administration is wrong to deny Agent Orange benefits to Vietnam veterans who served on ships offshore. A bill requiring benefits for those veterans has already passed the House, but Wyoming Senator Mike Enzi is blocking it in the Senate. Tester, Daines, and Gillibrand said the so-called blue water veterans are dying from Agent Orange-related diseases and can no longer afford to wait for care. Daines says these veterans should get the same benefits as other Vietnam vets exposed to Agent Orange, while Senator Tester says it's an obligation the country should fulfill.
We send those folks off to war, and we do it with some regularity. They do it, they do their job, and they come back, and they're exposed to things. If we're not willing to take care of our veterans when they get back home, we should not send them into places in this world where they might be exposed to toxins or get shot.
It's time to make a wrong right. Because currently we have veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange, who are on the ocean, who don't receive the same benefits and care as veterans who were exposed on the land. Guess what? This is a land and sea problem.
If the bill is not approved by the end of this current session of Congress, it'll then have to be reintroduced in the next session of Congress in the new year.
The Montana Supreme Court sides with Governor Steve Bullock over Attorney General Tim Fox. At the center of the case, a 15,000-acre conservation easement east of Glendive. Under the agreement with Fish, Wildlife and Parks, the landowners were to receive $6 million in federal and state money in exchange for opening their land to hunters and other recreation. When the proposal went before the state land board this past February, the board voted 3-2 to delay action. But Governor Steve Bullock opted to move forward, maintaining that conservation easements do not need approval of the land board because they are not a direct acquisition of land. Asked for a formal opinion in the case, Attorney General Tim Fox found that the governor had overstepped his authority. Today, however, the High Court sides with Governor Bullock. In short, a one-page opinion signed by 6 of the 7 state justices.
Downtown parking woes in the spotlight here in Billings after several motorists were ticketed for parking in a paid lot after hours. It happened during last week's Christmas stroll.
The lot in question is owned by Diamond Parking Service out of Seattle, and one local man believes the company used the Christmas stroll as a way to cash in on parking violations. However, officials with Diamond Parking say parking without paying is just like stealing from a local business and believe this incident might be a way to draw some awareness about its parking service. Diamond operates 19 parking lots scattered throughout downtown Billings with as many as 2,200 parking spaces. Manager Peter Sanderson says the Diamond lots have been around for 35 years, and when people complain about not enough parking, Diamond offers a service to those wanting to shop and dine downtown.
Still, though, Billings resident Jeff Blatnick feels duped by this situation. He says he saw nearly 30 tickets placed on cars on the evening of the Christmas stroll. And he says, like many residents, he thought parking after 5 was free. He believes if there's too many hurdles to shop downtown, it could hurt the city.
Everybody is working hard to keep downtown alive. The Downtown Business Association works hard to pull people in, has community events like this. You know, several people mentioned that because of the paid parking, they can go to the West End and they don't have to pay for any of the parking. There's no meters. A couple of people and the folks in the community said that, you know, they work downtown and they have to pay for parking. So, I mean, you have to pay to work down there and you also have to pay to shop. In light of Blatnick's complaint,
Diamond Parking Service points out that all of its lots are paid parking 24/7 and are marked that way.
During the Christmas stroll, by the way, Diamond did offer a $3 rate that covered 15 hours of parking in an effort to help combat the issues of drinking and driving.
Well, it's already mid-December, but still the streets of Billings are bare and dry.
And today we learned that the city street division plows have yet to see the light of day this winter. In fact, they haven't even been out even once. No doubt you remember last year with a record snowfall in Billings when there was so much snow that private contractors had to be hired to help out. Last year we saw our first big snowfall in the month of November, but even though the plows have been idled so far this season, Public Works says that doesn't mean they're not ready to spring into action.
41 frontline drivers and 30 vehicles are ready to go at a moment's notice, and they even had sand left over from last year. So until the snow comes, crews are making use of the good weather to complete paving projects across town.
Speaking of the weather and snow, Bob, the snowplow's stagnant here in Billings. That's not the case, though, to the west.
Big storm out there. Let me show it to you on the Doppler radar. As you see here, it's already making its way in towards Missoula and Kalispell. This is the second wave. We had one wave already earlier today move through Bozeman in towards Havre. You can see that up there. So let me show you what's happening out there. We do have a number of watches and warnings to talk about. High wind warning for the Beartooth foothills, 65 to 75 mile per hour winds there. Look at that. That's a winter weather advisory basically on the western slopes of the divide. Could see anywhere from like 4 to 8 inches of snow in Yellowstone Park, maybe 3 to 9 inches farther north, and up by the northwest, maybe 6 to 12 inches of snow in the higher elevations. We do have a winter storm warning also on the front range of the Rockies, 8 to 10 inches of snow there. Avalanche warning on the western slopes, and over there by Missoula, it's 7 to 13 inches of snow there. But wait a minute, we still have a blizzard warning to talk about. Also by Glacier National Park, winds gusting to 80 miles per hour. Could see maybe 8 to 12 inches of snow up there. But guess what? All that stuff is going to go around the Billings area, kind of skirt us. We're not going to see too much of it. We'll have more on that in a few more minutes.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, there's something fishy about this Montana business, but it's actually helping it grow. Find out how.
Plus, a 109-year-old woman shoots her shot with the Harlem Globetrotters.
And later in sports, we're into the second half of the National Finals Rodeo. See which local cowboys are still alive in title races.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2. Montana's news leader.